Why does producing live content protect your job from AI? There's a lot of concerns about how your work may be replicated or made redundant by AI tools. My 9-year-old son Errol asked if my job was safe from AI. What is immune from being made redundant by AI is Hello, welcome to This Is What Streams Are Made Of, a new video series by Inner Ear, which is accompanying a book that I'm currently writing by the same title. And in this episode, I'm going to tell you some of what you can look forward to coming up in this series, which is just going to run and roll as we create new episodes that tell the story that we want to about how to create live content. I'm Dougal Perman, co-founder of Inner Ear, a content company, and I'll talk a little bit more about me and it in a moment. But if you want to learn everything that you can about live streaming, then keep watching. But we don't just want to teach you about live streaming. We want to teach you everything we can about making live programs, because live programs are greater than just live streams. But we don't just want to teach you about live programs. We want to share everything that we have learned and continue to learn about creating live shared digital experiences. Because if the experience is enriching enough, then you can engage your audience really unlike any other form of content, in our opinion. And if you've put into practice even some of the tips and techniques and tactics that we're going to share with you throughout this series, then you can create live programs that will help you stand out significantly from the rest. And if you keep watching this video to the end, I'll also share my thoughts on why producing live content can help you protect your job from being taken by AI. This is what streams are made of. I think I'll just cut that little bit out. Right. But I might not, because actually it's a good opportunity to tell you that we're creating this as live, because we create almost all of the long form content that we do as live. And what we mean by as live is we vision mix it with usually multiple cameras, and we mix everything, the audio and the video and graphics and everything, live in the moment, and create a complete program, whether it's actually being broadcast live or not. And we do that for various reasons, but some of the advantages are you do all the work in advance and front load it, and then you run the program, and then when it's done, and it's very efficient. And also you get that liveness and that buzz, and the authenticity and the integrity of the material is much more immediate and dynamic. And it might not be as polished, but I think it resonates more with the audience. And it's just the way we're also used to working. And so I think it's a real point of difference for Inner Ear. As I might have mentioned, but can't remember, we're based in Glasgow, Scotland, which is one of the world's greatest music cities. And it's a brilliant place to be based, especially because when we co-founded Inner Ear, my good friend Tom Lusada and I started it way back in September 2000. And in March 2001, we launched Radio Magnetic, which is one of the UK's first and longest running internet radio stations, and it still on the go, now looked after by a community of specialist program producers and contributors to the station, largely the excellent and tireless work of Vicky Troop and Davy Kelly, and big shouts to them for all they do on Radio Magnetic. But it's something very close to our hearts, and as an underground dance music internet radio station, which broadened out to be a little more eclectic than just that. set of genres, but was always keeping an ear to the underground and providing a platform for alternative music from the fairly early days of the web. We learn everything that we know about live streaming and podcasting. We were creating podcast programs really from as soon as we had an on-demand audio archive of our program content, which was early 2001. And when podcasting as a medium kind of really got going around 2003-04, we were making podcasts from back then also. But all of this stuff is just part of what we do, because we have created live and on-demand content for everyone, from underground dance music heroes and niche arts organisations through to internationally renowned cultural organisations and leading global brands. And with all of it, we always take an approach of trying to create content that engages audiences through a 4-point strategy that we follow in terms of entertaining, educating, energising and enticing the audience to get involved. Live streaming is as popular today as it ever has been, and having done this since the early days of the medium, I've been part of its evolution and experienced the highs and lows along the way. And we've learned everything that we know about live, or we learned everything we know about it in the early days through building Radio Magnetic, which we can talk a bit more about in a moment. But we started video streaming in 2001, way before we were really ready to do so. But part of what plunged us into the deep end was becoming the media partner for Social Media Week in Glasgow, when our good friend Tim Wright was involved in bringing it to Glasgow and pioneered a lot of that kind of activity and that DIY ethic. And we were all over the city in 2011 and 2012, filming and live streaming stuff with some pretty ambitious projects, given that we were very new to the medium, including an international DJ party with our friends Cliff Waddle and Paul McFadden put together as a Radio Magnetic party at the end of Social Media Week. And it was quite bonkers, because we had DJs coming in as remote contributors from 5 or 6 different locations around the world into the old hairdressers in Glasgow, and then we streamed that out. We had live keynote from Argentina with the eminent economist Don Tapscott. We didn't really know how to patch remote contributors in live, so we figured that out and made that work. There was all kinds of stuff that we did for the first time there, and then straight off the back of that did this live stunt display at the Riverside Museum in Glasgow with Danny McCaskill. And a lot of the time when we've been doing this stuff, we've been kind of at the forefront of it, trying to figure it out, overstretching ourselves, but trying not to overpromise what we're doing, just always pushing what we're doing, because we just always want to try and find new ways of doing things and do stuff that we've never done before. It's taken us to some very interesting places. And some of the many milestones that I've passed along the way of Inner Ear's continual evolution include running a 24/7 live radio station, which was pretty demanding, but great fun and all-encompassing. Live streaming 70 plus specialist programs every week as part of that, and managing all the talent who created them. Running live outside broadcasts from clubs, venues and festivals around Scotland and further afield sometimes too. And we earned a solid reputation for creative flair and musical integrity amongst the music industry, our media peers, and most importantly with the audiences and our fans. And we started using mobile broadband devices. I think really actually we started using MiFi audio devices in maybe 2007, 2007-8 to live stream audio only content, and then mobile broadband in 2012 when we started streaming the Glenfiddich Piping Championship from Blair Castle in Blair Athol in beautiful Perthshire, and we created a live experience that wouldn't otherwise have happened, and we've live streamed the Glenfiddich Piping Championship ever since to thousands of avid bagpipe enthusiasts around the world, and we've done a lot of that kind of work amongst many other things. So in this series we're going to go into detail on a large amount of topics. And actually I'll just refer to my notes so that I don't forget some of what we're going to go into. But there's a lot of really brilliant technical how-to guides and problem solving and tech know-how stuff on YouTube already, and we're not going to try and replicate that because some people are doing that really well already. And there's also loads of good stuff about making TV and making filmmaking especially, but what there isn't really is a comprehensive guide to making live programs, and even more enhancing them to make them live digital experiences for your audience. And so when I started writing the book, This Is What Streams Are Made Of, which is a course that my partner Annie and I have taught several times, including for Expo North, based the cultural development organisation based in Inverness and serving the Highlands and Islands. And we've done some brilliant work with them over the years, and we've delivered many courses for them and for others. And then I took that title on and lent it to the book I'm writing and now to this series, because apart from the pun on This Is What Dreams Are Made Of, it's also really, a live stream is made of so many things. So some examples of what we're going to go into depth and detail on include defining your objectives and coming up with a strategy to deliver them, storyboarding, research, scripting, rights and clearance, something that a lot of people are quite in the dark about, and I know more about, especially music rights and music media rights online, than I always joke and say than I wish I did, because my life would be easier if I just didn't know these things. But I'm glad I do know them, because I know how to avoid potentially getting into a lot of trouble, or and also how to go about getting rights the right way, and so it can save you a lot of headaches with that kind of stuff, with advice there. I might cautiously say that is becoming a little bit easier, but logistics, figuring out what kit you actually need and how to go about getting it, hardware, software, platforms, technical workflow and setup, problem solving and troubleshooting, something that we pride ourselves on. Our crew is especially adept at problem solving, because there are so many problems that we encounter all the time, and you think you've seen them all, and then you encounter loads that you've never seen before, and it's really just about how you go about solving them. And a quick piece of advice, a quick top tip on problem solving, which is actually quite hard to do, is check the most obvious thing first. But the most obvious thing sometimes escapes you, and you end up checking the most complicated things before you remember what the obvious thing is. Oh, it's not plugged in. Which is, there's a good technical term that my colleagues Finlay and Alan have for that one. There's an air gap. We'll also explore marketing plans, promotion, audience development and interaction. And after the live program is over, you've created a whole suite of content assets. So you've got the live recording itself, but also You might have multiple camera recordings, the audio, maybe multi-track audio. You might have live performances and talk bits. You might have outtakes, behind the scenes content, material that you've used to create features which become VTs, as they were called in the old days of TV, and that term has stuck. And photos and all kinds of different bits of content that have tremendous value when repurposed and used after the program has gone out live. So we'll talk a bit about that, and then also having a look at statistics and analytics and how to understand and interrogate them and what they can teach you and help you learn more about your audience so you can forge a more meaningful relationship with that audience and engage them further. And as much as possible, we'll follow the program making framework that we use for creating live digital experiences, which is Prelude, which is the concept and strategy stage, pre-production, or the planning and logistics, production, making the program, post-production, reviewing and editing it, progression, which is then deciding, considering how you can take the content further, what more you can do with the project, and finally, perpension, which is actually an antiquated word that took me quite a long time to find so that I could have a word beginning with P to complete that framework. And I often say in a workshop, if you learn nothing else, at least you've learned the word perpension. It did occur to me recently that I could call that perspective, and it would really mean the same thing or something quite similar. But my mum, who's a writer and editor, said, no, leave it as perpension. You're teaching people a new word. And that is, it literally means reflection, contemplation. And then so you can think back on it and then consider how to improve it. And of course, we want to hear from you throughout this series. So you can get in touch with us because you can get in touch through comments on YouTube and LinkedIn videos, through any of our social channels, and of course on our website, innerear.co.uk. And our attitude has always been the more people who know how to do this and who are doing it, the better, because that grows the market, and it just it means that everybody's working to improve what they're doing and produce better and better content. And so finally, why does producing live content protect your job from AI? So I'm going to write a blog post about this on Inner Ear, but I've been thinking about it because there are lots of valid concerns at the moment. AI is incredible and generative AI is amazing, and AI tools have been with us for a long time, and I, like many of us, use them every day and probably interact with AI every single day without even realizing it. But there's a lot of concerns about how your work may be replicated or made redundant by AI tools, and that is especially of concern to creative people, including writers, designers, illustrators, music producers, software developers, coders. And my 9-year-old son, Errol, asked if my job was safe from AI or if my job could be taken from AI. And I said, as a producer and a director, no, I don't think so. It'll be a very long time before. And I think that really we can just all embrace these tools and use them to improve what we're doing. But I was then thinking about the creative industries and thinking, well, what is immune from being made redundant by AI is live performance. And that liveness, that live interaction, that's something that AI can't touch, partly because the way that generative AI works and the way that large language models work, they draw on existing material, and they do try to innovate on that to the extent that their algorithms will enable them to do so, but they are effectively responsive and reactive, and they're not really coming up with new ways of doing things and with new things. So I posed this, what else would I do but pose this to an AI and see what it thought. So I put it to ChatGPT Model 4, and and I said that I think that the creating live shared digital experiences, the liveness amplifies the unique aspect of live performance and that human connection between the artist and audience, which enriches the lives of all involved. Discuss. And ChatGPT was very interesting actually, and said that my perspective on the integration of AI in the creative industries, particularly in roles such as content creation and live performance production, highlights a significant discussion about the evolving relationship between technology and creativity. The apprehension around AI in creative roles stems from its capability to automate tasks that are traditionally human-led, which indeed raises concerns about job displacement. However, as you noted, there are several ways in which AI can serve as a beneficial tool rather than a replacement, and it goes on to talk about how it can streamline processes and generative tools can save time and free up the human creative to concentrate on aspects of production that require more insight and emotional intelligence. And then when it comes to live performance, such as theatre, music, dance, talks, which one could include everything from live poetry and comedy and lectures and so on, then the essence of liveness, the spontaneous interactive elements that characterize live events, remain irreplaceable by AI. And these events that thrive on that unpredictability in the moment. And I've always been fascinated and delighted by liveness, which is why I like live streaming as a medium so much. And I think that actually you don't just have to be producing some kind of art, although you could argue that the art is in what you are making, but it doesn't need to be a performance as such, or certainly an artistic endeavour like music or theatre or dance or talk-based performance. It could be, it could really be anything, because if you're making a live programme about it, if you are one of those who fears for your particular type of art being being taken away, the market potential for it being eroded by generative AI, like music production and graphic design, for example, then making live content about it and documenting that process and giving people a look behind the curtain and that privileged access to it, and in that in the course of doing that, performing to your audience in a live context, that is something that AI can never do and will never do and really has no business doing. And so I think that we can actually utilize live production for so much more rich purpose than you might ever have considered. So I will write more about that on the Inner Ear blog, and come and join us next time. I will say also, if you go to Inner Ear and to the blog, if you look in the work section for the blog, then you'll find a waiting list for the book. And if you sign up to that, then and if you could do something for us and sign up to that waiting list and also subscribe to this channel, then the first 100 people to do both will give a free copy of the book too. And then the next 900 people to do it will give 50% discount for subscribers to this channel and members of that waiting list when we start selling the book. So I hope that's an incentive to entice you to do that, because I would very much like to thank you for watching, and hope that you can join us next time for This Is What Streams Are Made Of, when we'll get stuck into defining your program.